Hi everybody, this is Josh with an overview of Gravit Designer. If you haven't heard of Gravit Designer, check out designer.gravit.io. You can go ahead and open that up in your web browser and follow along with this video. Let's get started. So Gravit Designer is a phenomenal design tool that focuses on vector graphics, and it runs in your web browser. They also have native versions that you can download for Mac, Windows, Linux, and a Chrome version for Chrome OS. But you can also just run it in a tab, for example, in your Chrome browser. There's been a lot of work done on this. It's on version 3.2.6, but I was using this back on version 1. And it's come a long way. And I want to give you an overview in this video. What I'll probably be doing is creating a series on Gravit Designer because there's just so much packed into this web-based application that allows you to create incredibly high quality, sophisticated vector graphics in your web browser. If you've been looking for a cloud application that you can use that is actually cross-platform, you can run it on any computer. It's cloud-based. The file management system is all backed up in the cloud, and you have a pen tool and Boolean operations, meaning you can combine and clip and subtract shapes with other shapes. This is the tool for you. So this is the screen that you're presented with if you go to that link that I mentioned, designer.gravit.io. If you create an account, you can actually save projects to the cloud, and you get a similar file management system to Google Drive. But of course, these only work with Gravit Designer. You can create folders, rename documents, etc. If I just click create without putting any dimensions in here or choosing a template, I'll just get an infinite canvas with the ability to just start creating right away. If yours looks different than mine does on the screen right now, you can go to Edit, Settings, and change some settings down in here. For example, highlight on hover, you can turn that on or off. Invert selection mode, which is only selecting objects which are completely inside the selected area. Hold the Alt key to switch between the two modes. I just have that turned off. Auto expand layers, and here's where you can change the default theme. If it's the first time you've opened it, first time you've used it, it probably has this slightly purplish hue on your screen, which is fine, but I just prefer the dark theme a little better. So I choose dark theme and save changes. So I'm just going to go through this application just so you know where everything is, kind of from top to bottom, left to right, and show you all the bits of this application in this video. We'll get into more details about the tools, the panels, and all of the features in videos to come. I'm running this in full screen mode. As you can see, it's just in the tab in my Chrome browser right now. But at the very top left, you have File, just like a desktop application. From here, I can create new designs. I can open files. I can open them from the cloud or from my hard drive. I can save them, download them, import and export different file formats, as you can see here. I love this because it works with SVG. And if you guys have seen any of my videos, you know how important the SVG file format is to me. I can get SVG from Google Drawings, for example, and import those into Gravit Designer for fine tuning. This is fantastic. I can also add fonts from my system. That's really, really cool. Next is the edit menu. That's where I just showed you where the settings are. In here, you have your normal undo, redo, copy, paste, delete. You can invert selection, select all, etc. The next menu option we have is modify. And there are some very useful and powerful features in here once we start creating some paths and shapes on our canvas. Then we have view, very helpful options in here for showing or hiding rulers and guides. And yes, we have rulers and guides in this web-based application. We can change our snapping. We can show certain panels and libraries. And we also have options for the magnification. Then we have our help menu, which can take us to different links. Then we've got a save button. This is sort of the main toolbar panel here. We've got a save button with a floppy disk icon. Undo and redo buttons, which work the same way as Control Z or Control Shift Z for redo. Our zoom level here, so we can change our zoom rather than going into the drop down menus up there. We can just click on the plus and minus, or click on the actual percent that we're viewed in and get some options there. We have a fit to all button. We have a hand tool, which is our pan, and you can see we get keyboard shortcuts here. Most of these are similar to Photoshop and Illustrator. If you've used either of those Adobe products, I think that you're going to find this feels very similar. Then we have our snapping options available right here. This just makes it a little bit quicker than going into our drop-down file menu up at the very top. We have our selection tool here, which has different methods of selecting things, as well as our slice tool at the very bottom. Then we have a pen tool. We have the basic pen tool, the traditional pen tool. If you have used Illustrator, this is beautiful. This is just like Illustrator. I can hold down Alt or Option to change the direction of one handle so that I can create very sophisticated, complex shapes with the pen tool. We have a Bezigan tool, which works a little bit differently. There's help files on all of this. A freehand tool, so I can draw freely on my canvas, making much more organic shapes. A shading tool, and a knife tool, so you can cut shapes when you have them selected. Then we have all of our primitive shapes, also line segments, so we can draw rectangles, ellipse, polygons, triangles, and stars. And when we select those different tools, these are like smart shapes. So over here in the appearance menu, we can change the amount of points it has, the size, and round the corners as well. And each of these shapes have appearance attributes that you can edit after the fact. So a rectangle is also a rounded rectangle. Those are very easy to adjust and change. Next, we have our text tool, which of course creates text. We've got some transform tools next, which are flip horizontally, flip vertically, rotate 90 degrees left, rotate it right 90 degrees. Then we have our grouping icon here. Makes it very easy to select things. I'll select them here and put them into a group. You can also just use Control G and Control Shift G to ungroup them. Then we have our path tools, or our merging tools, like union, difference, intersection, and subtract, also known as Boolean operations. We have a clip button, so we can clip shapes inside of other shapes. Let me give you an example. I'll just change the color of this rounded rectangle, select two shapes, and I'll click clip. And you can see I can clip that shape inside of this other shape. They're both there, both still editable, just being clipped inside, as you can see. And then we have split, which does exactly the opposite, or undoes our clipping. So that will split those, removing that rounded rectangle from being clipped inside that other shape. We have some arrange buttons bringing things forward and back, export, and we have a play or present button, which actually plays our document in full screen, like a presentation. Back over to the left, we have tabs here for layers, libraries, and symbols. We'll get into each of those in more depth in videos coming up. Then we have pages, so we can have multiple pages in the same document. If I create a new page, you can see everything just went away. Well, it's still there. We've just created another page. Super great for creating multi-page documents or iterations, all in the same document. Then we've got layers. Super powerful option right here. Being able to have layers to select things on my canvas and name them in the layers panel right here. Really great. I can also manage the arrangement of them by dragging them up and down. At the very bottom of the layers panel, we have make exportable. If I click this little plus icon, I can add an export command to that layer. and I can decide, do I want to export that at my original size, 2 times, half, 3 times, and more options there. I can export it as a PNG, a JPEG, an SVG, or a PDF, and I can also give it a suffix in the file name as well. The file name will be exported if I export the assets that I have chosen by clicking that little Add Export button, which is that little plus symbol, with the file name of my layer name. So I'll change the name here to export. And back over here on the right-hand side, if I click this export button, I see it can export the canvas, everything that I can see on the canvas, also including multiple pages. I can untick or tick which pages I want to export. I could export just the selection, so just what I have currently selected. Or I can export assets, which would be those pieces that I have given the command to export over in the Layers panel. And you can see there, I would be exporting that asset that I had given the command to export in the Layers panel at 1 times as a PNG with the file name export. So there's some really powerful features for exporting your assets using this as a design tool. Back over on the right-hand panel, we have our align and distribute options right up here at the top. Then we have granular control for the position, size, angle, and transformation of anything that we have selected, any shape or object that we have selected on our canvas. We can change to a precise measurement by inputting it here. We can also reposition our anchors of those shapes. Then we have appearances. This is where we can change attributes or formatting for our objects, text, and shapes that we have selected. If we have one of these smart objects, for example, selected, we have different options, like I mentioned before, for changing the points, for example, on the star. We can change opacity with a slider. We also have blending options. I can change the way that it blends with objects or shapes underneath, just like in Photoshop. Then we have our fill and border. Every shape can have multiple fills and multiple borders. Very, very powerful. And at the very bottom, we have special effects. Things like blur. You can add a non-destructive blur even to vector shapes, just like you can see here, as well as color adjustment, drop shadows, inner shadows, and a whole bunch more. So this has been a basic overview of the panels, the tools, and the features included in Gravit Designer. Again, this application is cloud-based. It can run in your web browser. You can also download a version that works for you if you'd rather run this natively. They have plans to bring it to iPad and Android, as you can see here. Not available yet, but coming soon. Already available is macOS standalone. We also have Windows 64 and 32-bit installer and portable, a version for Linux, Chrome OS, and of course it also runs in your browser. So check it out, designer.io. See what you can create. Tell me what you think. Look for more videos to come on Gravit Designer right here on this channel. Go ahead and give me a like and a subscribe to stay updated. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.